Hello folks, John Lee here. We're in Gresham, Oregon. This is a TriMet maintenance facility, the Ruby Junction facility in Gresham, Oregon. Why is this of interest to us? Ruby Junction is where TriMet does a huge amount of their maintenance on mainly their light rail vehicles, but they also do maintenance on buses and other vehicles in their fleet of cars and vehicles. Overwhelmingly, this is tied and of interest to us because, believe it or not, we're roughly a 25 to 30 minute drive from the I-5 Interstate Bridge. And yet there is money in the IBR for this Ruby Junction maintenance facility. It is unbelievable, but yet the reality on this is that the IBR is demanding $320 million from the federal government, from the government of Oregon, and the government of Washington State in order to pay for an expansion of this Ruby Junction light rail facility. Why do they need an expansion of it? On the surface, they're saying they need 19 brand new light rail vehicles for that 1.83 mile extension of the TriMet yellow line of light rail into Clark County. That's part of the IBR. But the reality is, number one, they don't need 19 vehicles for a 1.83 mile extension. That on its surface is absurd. And secondly, they have said at most recently the CTRAN meeting or another meeting that they only in reality were hoping to get 3. A different aspect of this whole ripoff, this whole scene of the crime, is that what is the price if any maintenance expansion here were actually required? And I don't think any of it is required, and that's a problem in and of itself. But I want to thank forensic accountant Tiffany Couch, who in the Columbia River crossing went back and researched previous TriMet acquisition of new vehicles when they created new lines. In 2002, when they created the yellow line, TriMet bought 17 brand new light rail vehicles, and they spent $9.15 million to expand this Ruby Junction facility. In 2012, when they were expanding and creating the orange line, they bought 20 new light rail vehicles, and they spent $8.1 million to allegedly expand this facility. Well, in the Columbia River crossing, they were planning for a 2018 expenditure of the money. The CRC was demanding 19 new light rail vehicles, and the CRC was demanding $50.61 million, over 8 times what they'd paid for in previous new line creation expansions of this Ruby Junction light rail facility. Well, here we are today. We fast forward another decade, and the IBR team is now demanding $320 million of your taxpayer dollars. It is beyond ridiculous, and I believe this is about triple what they had in the original $2 billion transit component of the IBR. Well, of course, we found out in January via Joe Courtwright's public records request that the cost had exploded from $7.5 billion to potentially $17 billion, and that he got the internal data. Bottom line, they were asking for $320 million now on this, which shows me, or it seems to be an indication, that they're trying to play the shell game. Where can we hide money to try and bail TriMet out of all of their financial problems? It is ridiculous, and it is beyond anything reasonable by any stretch of the imagination that any expansion of this facility here in Gresham, Oregon should be tied to the I-5 Interstate Bridge Replacement project. As always, I'm digging into the details on your behalf. You deserve value. You deserve accountability for your taxpayer dollars. And as much as these people try to do a good job here who work at the TriMet Ruby Junction facility, the amount of money the IBR is demanding is an outrageous ripoff. I'm going to keep digging and reporting to you. Thanks so much.
The story you're about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.